you're getting older.
My dream is to be a pilot. I want to be an architect.
Geologist.
You and I are growing further. You don't really talk to me.
Hey everyone, and welcome. We're back with the One Degree Alumni Podcast, episode 15. And today we're here with Laura, a student from One Degree 2017. Hey Laura, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, good. So nice to see you again. I can't believe it's been 8 years since One Degree. Does it feel like it's been that long?
I can't believe it.
What are some of those memories? If you think back to 2016, 2017, you started the program. I think it probably must have been sort of November time or something like that,
Yeah.
and went all the way through to June. So what are some of the things that stand out from that time?
Well, I do remember having to go to school when everyone else wasn't, but it was quite fun. I remember feeling like it was some extracurricular like thing in school. I remember the gathering with everyone. We were all quite excited, to be fair, about One Degree. Having the lessons. The monitors were always very friendly and helpful. So I do have very good memories about One Degree, especially the pizza. We loved the pizza.
That's always the thing everyone remembers the most, the nice lunches.
Yes, always.
So if I were to share that, what does that bring back a blast from the past? That was the first day on One Degree. Look at you, right front and center.
Yes. Yeah, we were like a big family, I think. We were all very supportive of each other. We kind of knew what the aim was for the program, so I think we were all excited to get that extra help. I think we were all hungry for learning, definitely. And especially me, I think my maths was the thing I struggled with the most. And One Degree helped a lot for that. So definitely really good memories. It's funny seeing familiar faces as well. Yeah.
Nice. Let's share another photo, a little bit more informal as you in the background.
Yes.
With Flo, Mentor, and Zahur there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure who that is peeking in on the side there. Can't quite see.
Yeah, can't tell either. But I think I see Ibrahim and Natalia in the background.
In the background, yeah. Oh, amazing. I mean, it's weird when you look back at this, and we'll get to it in a minute about all the things you've been up to since One Degree. But I always find it embarrassing looking back to school photos. I don't know about you, but it is really weird, isn't it, when you sort of think back to the person you were then?
Yeah, I think for me it's more the shock of seeing how different I look, even though I don't look extremely different. Like seeing, my face has changed a little. I don't look like a kid anymore. Yeah.
So obviously I shared that first photo, the very first day.
Yeah.
And then we've got obviously the last day when you won some prizes at the end, and as we sort of announced some of the sort of program winners of various categories and stuff like that. So there you are again. But my memory of you actually was that you won you got quite a big opportunity.
Yes.
Following One Degree. I don't know if you want to tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So I do remember that when we started the program, you did mention that there would be a huge opportunity for whatever student you guys thought deserved, the award. And I remember opening the letter and reading and seeing that I was going to go to LA for the summer camp for young leaders. And it was like, I couldn't believe it when it happened, to be fair. Like, I didn't think I was going to be the person to do so. And I was very excited. Obviously, I would say it was a huge milestone in my life because it was my first solo trip in a way, even though I wasn't solo, but I was with the other student as well from the other school, Daniel. We had a blast during that trip. I made a friend. We're still in contact till this day. So I think it definitely started my liking for traveling, I'd say, as well. Because I was 15, 10, 16 there. It was quite memorable. I met a lot of people that I'm also still in contact with from California. So yeah, it was definitely a trip to remember for the rest of my life. And I think it kind of started my traveling as well, because since then I've had another 2 solo trips, and I will be taking another one this Monday. So
Nice. We can talk about that in a minute. And obviously, and traveling long distances is scary, no matter what age you are, because there's always a number of things that can go wrong with delays and getting lost or whatever, and just general airport stresses and all that. But 15, 16, so brave to be doing that. I suppose once you got over that and actually got there and started meeting people, was there anything that you remember being the big difference between like teenagers in London versus teenagers in California?
That's an interesting question. I think, leaving aside the whole teenager thing, I think just people in general from America compared to here, they're very different. We have very different mentalities, very different perspectives, very different priorities as well. But yeah, everyone was very lovely, very friendly. I think here in London, you can definitely find friendly people. We just don't seem it. But yeah, it was a very different vibe. Yeah.
Amazing. And then obviously you got your results. I think that's your mum there with you.
Yes.
Getting your results in the day. What was that a real big relief, just to have that part of your life over, GCSE exams over and all that?
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember, I wanted to be a vet. Since I was young, I always wanted to be a vet. It was my huge dream. Obviously, I got the grades to be able to continue on that. But later on, I just realized that I didn't want to be a vet because it was too long. For me, it was a relief in year 11 to get my results, because literally when you're a child, you start studying, let's say at like 3, 4, you start going to school. And then leaving school at nearly 18, I was just like, that's crazy. Like, I've basically given my whole life to studying. And I didn't want to commit to another, like in my case, it was 8 years of studying. So I would have started at 18 and then be finishing around like 26. And I was like, do I really want to spend my early 20s studying, like killing myself even more? Because, like One Degree, if it weren't for One Degree, I don't think I would have made it, to be fair. Like, it was really overwhelming. For those that don't know, I moved to the UK when I was 12. So I did have to play the catch-up game with like the English and then learning the system here as well. But yeah, One Degree played a huge part in like pushing me to be able to get to where I wanted to. And yeah, like I remember seeing that I passed maths. It was so good. I was so relieved. I was so happy knowing that I was able to choose to never do it again, and I never did. So yeah.
That's such a good achievement and so amazing, especially with, like you said, a subject that you had to get through, just to get through, to prove to yourself that you could do it, to prove to your school, to prove to your parents, tick that off and then move on. And it's interesting you say about, veterinary careers and everything, because they are notoriously, it's a tough, segment at university, and it's very stressful. And you hear a lot of stories about, veterinary students dropping out and stuff like that, because it is a big tough. So, I mean, I don't blame you at all for not going down that route, as admirable as it would have been. It is a tough university experience from what I've heard. So
I think more about the toughness for me, it was more the perspective of the time. Like, I feel like growing up along the way, I learned that the present right now is very important, as it defines the future. And in that moment when I thought about studying for so long, it didn't make me feel like I was going to be happy from that. I felt like it was going to bring stress instead, or frustration maybe from, having such a big commitment. But I still decided to go university, and I studied zoology instead. It was 3 years, and it was still kind of like studying animals. So yeah.
Talk me through the comparison between doing zoology at university versus sort of school and stuff like that. What were how did you find those two experiences in comparison?
Well, as everybody knows, in school you kind of have to do what they tell you have to do, you have to pass your English, you have to pass your maths, most likely as well your sciences. They really push you to kind of be an all-rounder, I think. And when it comes to like college, you kind of can choose a bit more. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're still not doing stuff that you don't want to do. So yeah, when it comes to uni, you do have a bit more freedom, but I think it is very challenging because obviously you don't have teachers on top of you. I don't think universities have programs like One Degree to push you as well. It's kind of more disciplinary. You have to tell yourself you want this and that you're the only person that can do it for yourself. So it is very challenging to see that contrast in school. You do get a bit more help. You do get a bit more like cover as well, I'd say. University is more like the real world. You have to face it yourself. You have to figure it out for yourself. And at the end of the day, nobody knows what you really want. Only you know what you want. So I think anyone that decides to go university, you really have to want it to be able to get through it. Because yeah, it is hard, I'd say. And I think it's for everybody.
It's such good advice. And you say, there's not necessarily the support mechanism like One Degree. So if there is anyone out there listening, a student that's maybe, looking at various universities, would like to go into zoology or anything like that, out of interest, what university did you go into? Just so any sort of listeners can then know.
So I went to Roehampton University. Not only because of the location, I feel like it's still in the city, but it's kind of on the outskirts. Yeah. And they had a really good like program for zoology. They're a very science like specific university, and they did have how do I say, like it's not counseling necessarily, but they had a program of someone that was there to support students throughout any struggles or like any problems that they thought was more personal rather than educational. You could go to this person and talk to her. But yeah, I think when it comes to university, you have to be very specific. You have to inform yourself very well. You have to know very well what it is you want, so that then you can, ask for it. I think in uni, like they definitely offer help, but it is more about you asking for it. They will not offer it to you. You have to ask for it. Yeah.
And looking back now to that little period at university, how were you happy with that choice of both the university itself and doing zoology?
So I unfortunately wasn't able to finish my course. I'm due to still go back and finish it. COVID happened.
Yeah.
And it was very stressful. For me, it was not the same to do the classes like between the screen and me. It was not the same. So yeah, I'd say even though I really wanted it, it wasn't easy. So yeah, like uni stuff, I don't think it's for everybody. But kind of talking a bit about the future, I think it depends a lot on what you want to do and what resources you give yourself. I don't think necessarily uni is the only way to get to where you want to, but it is definitely a bit longer if you don't.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so then post COVID and all of that, let's move a little bit on to that phase of your life, what you got up to then. Obviously all the dramas of COVID passed. You probably reorganized everything a little bit to try and figure out the next stage of your life. Talk us through a little bit about that.
Well, so I'd say I dropped out of uni when I was like probably 20. Not only did the uni life really get to me, but then when COVID happened, it was really tough. It was a really tough time. Obviously, I was on my own in uni. My whole family, they were all together at home while I was in uni on my own. And it really affected my mental health, having to be on my own and then not really having any friends like that in uni as well, because very different to One Degree. In One Degree, I was very sociable. I knew everybody. I kind of grew up with these people in school, so it was much easier to be myself. But in university, of course, it was a fresh start. there was a lot of people that they were like my friends, but obviously being so far from home, it was just, I was kind of just blinded by these I don't know how to say, like, this sadness maybe. Yeah, like I was really sad, and it really affected my mental health. So after that, when I decided to come back home, when COVID got a little bit better, um kind of started to focus more on myself, and kind of realized that education wasn't my whole life. Because I always treated it like that. I always thought that education was the main priority in my life from when I was like, yes, 4 or 5, all the way up to college, and kind of put into perspective that I had to think further than that, to think what I really, really wanted after I finished studying. And yeah, I just started to focus more on like my mental health, developing a newer personality as an adult, because I think it definitely changes a lot when you're a child to growing up to become a young adult. It kind of puts this perspective of you're the only person that has control over yourself and your life. Like the choices you make, they're only going to affect you, no one else. So definitely makes you think a bit further than you're used to. I think when you're growing up, you expect your parents to make choices for you. Sometimes you can even have teachers make choices for you, which I think, funny enough, I eventually became a swimming teacher myself. So I had students, and I can understand, like, the care that you have for a student. You don't have those type of people anymore when you become an adult. It really is on yourself. So yeah, I kind of started to think further and think, what do I really want out of, my life? What do I want out of the studying, and what opportunities I want it to bring to me? And yeah, I started kind of, going to other fields. I wasn't so focused on the zoology or working with animals anymore. It was more like, okay, what other skills or what other fields could I get into?
Well, I mean, we've spoken over the years since One Degree, sort of off and on, and now just hearing you tell some of those stories, it's so clear that you've gone through your up and downs like so many people do, and you've come out of it really in a brave way of constantly reflecting on everything and reassessing your situations, which is amazing. And it sounds like you're really kind of trying to learn as you go along and reassess each situation, which is fantastic. And it just sounds like you've done such a good job of deciding what it is that you really want and moving on step by step, which is amazing.
Disclaimer: I still don't know what I want to do.
Not
completely.
But what you want in order to be happy and sort of trying to figure that out along the way, which is so difficult to do, and especially with all the things going on. We're invaded by so many things, at once, more so in this generation than we ever have before. So trying to keep in tune with yourself, and what's important to you, like you've been saying, is so important. And it's, it just sounds like you're doing a good job of just constantly reflecting, constantly learning, which is incredible. Now, you mentioned obviously, moving to becoming a lifeguard and doing that, and how that experience was. And then you've moved out of that now into another phase of your life, I suppose, more into present time now. What's sort of happening with you now?
So obviously I did that more throughout my studies because it's a very flexible job. But it got to a point that I was like, okay, I don't want to be doing this my whole life. I don't want to be in a leisure center my whole life. So I kind of started to, look at other job roles, doing other things, and then, kind of long story short, life brought me to the music industry. So due to my friend who was a rapper and he wanted to showcase his talent, he wanted to organize a headline show. And in fact, this is the poster up there. So these are 3 shows that I've worked for, 3 people that I've worked for as well.
I was going to ask you about those posters, actually. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, so I got them right there as a reminder of kind of like my milestones, I'd say, in this. It was very unexpected But yeah, he just mentioned, "Oh, Laura, like I want to have a headline show, and I have no idea how to do it." And really and truly, I had no idea either. But I've always been a very logical person, and I was like, okay, shouldn't be too hard. I was like, probably need a venue, we'll need equipment, we'll need, kind of to organize ourselves. And yeah, very gladly it worked out, and we had a great headline show. We sold out. We had like around 140 people attend,
Oh, wow.
maybe. Yeah, and it was really nice. It was a really good night. It was very enjoyable, and most importantly, my friend was very happy, and it was very rewarding for me to know that he was happy with what he got when I had been behind the organization. So yeah, through my friends and many other people that I met along the way, I kind of started to pick up an interest into the music industry and working in management, coordination. I've even done casting for models, for music videos, done some directing here and there, even done some acting myself. But yeah, I did realize that my specialty was more on organizing the events. I find it very rewarding to have a vision and then put it into place and actually seeing it happen. And I think I love seeing that people enjoy an event and create memories in that event. Because, for example, that first headline show that I organized, it will always be something I remember, and I'm pretty sure it's something that many people that were there that they will remember. So yeah, kind of right now I'm just working on that. I will be going to Australia next Monday because I will be working with um, some other people as well from the other side of the world now. And yeah, potentially seeing where life takes me. I don't know if I'll stay here in the UK. Could go to Australia. Could go anywhere else, really. So yeah.
Amazing. Oh, well, that sounds fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing that. And I suppose just to wrap up, a bit of a combination of reflecting and looking forward. You know, everything you've gone through so far, I'm sure it's probably fair to say you don't know where the next stage is going to take you. You're just probably going to take that as it comes and just, enjoy the experience and just see, right?
I
Yeah.
think that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
It's good to have a goal or to have a point of focus where you can go back to refer yourself to. But I think the best way to take life would be day by day. Every day something unexpected can happen. Every day something can change, like the course that you're taking. So for anyone that's out there still doing their GCSEs, anyone that probably is doing 1 degree right now, don't be so tough on yourself. You don't have to figure it out now. I don't even have to figure it out now, and I'm 23. So yeah, usually I think when you're like 15, 16, you think of a 23, 24-year-old person, you think they have their life sorted. We don't. We're still figuring out. So yeah, I think taking it day by day is the best thing, and just make sure you're happy. Like, it sounds very cliche to say, but I think the main thing that you should put as a priority is to make yourself happy. Make sure that you're doing what you want to do. Because again, sounds very cliche, but you only get one life. So make sure you enjoy it. Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic place to end and a nice kind of summary of it all. So thank you so much. Look, it's been great catching up with you, and I'd love to do this again in a year or two so that we can see, what you're up to and what's happened to the next sort of section of your life and how your travels have been going. But yeah, it's been lovely catching up with you. Thanks so much, Laura.
Right, guys. Thanks to you.
Speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.